Hello, everyone. Hi, Iris.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Is Brian there?
Let me turn it on. Hi.
Hi, Iris.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is
I'm
Brian?
here too.
There he is. Okay.
Dishes clean.
Good. You got
Thank
the
you so
recipe,
much
Iris.
for helping us,
Perfect. Awesome.
Maria.
Good, Iris. I'm glad you got the recipe.
Yes.
Sorry for the delay. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Maria.
Nice
This is
to
Pam.
see you.
Hi.
Hi,
It's all right. It happens.
Pam. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
I'm glad you could join us. Are you ready to cook?
Ready to
we're
watch.
going to
Are
watch
you
this time.
you're spectators? What? Hello, Melissa. Nice to see you. You got the recipe okay?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Did you find it in your spam folder by chance?
Katie sent it to me too, so I was
Okay.
covered. She got me
Okay.
covered.
Awesome. Hello, Joanne. Nice to see you. I think you're, there you are.
Hi.
Hello. You're Joanne and
I'm Joanne. This is Allison. She
Hi.
signed up separate, but we live together, so.
Awesome. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. I see Kathleen, Gloria, welcome, and Lauren. Hi, Kathleen. How are you?
Great. Great.
Oh, it's so good. Some of you are becoming regulars on. I can't wait till we can do some of these in person, and then we can all enjoy a meal together. Well, I think there are still some people coming in and connecting. Let's see. We'll get started in just a minute. So if you need to prep any ingredients, or it looks like Rob has his beverage of choice. It makes watching much more entertaining.
That's what I'm cooking after this. So
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, I think I know everyone on here, but a couple newcomers. So I am Maria Kelly. I am the director of AMOR Healing Kitchen here in Charleston, South Carolina. And we are a nonprofit. We prepare healthy meals for people who are facing critical or chronic health challenges. And we bring teens into our kitchen and teach them culinary skills and nutrition with the help of Justin Boer, our culinary director, who will be leading you tonight.
Hi, everybody.
And we provide our program free of cost for those people that might need some financial assistance, especially during COVID. It's been really challenging for a lot of people that are not only facing very serious health challenges that might be compromising their immune system, but also facing kind of challenges with employment. So thank you to those of you that donated for tonight's cooking class. Please pass the word that we are doing these free of cost or donation if you are able to. So what we found over our 3 years of providing our program to people is that, we're cooking this super nourishing food, very healthy, and a lot of people maybe aren't used to cooking this way. So it was a lot of the questions that we were getting from our clients is how can they continue this journey once they finish with us? It's a 12-week program. And so it's kind of the next step is just trying to get people into the kitchen, inspired by cooking. And once you get going in the kitchen, then, then you kind of can take charge of your own journey into healing and health. So we are super passionate about getting people inspired in the kitchen. That's why we include the youth in our kitchen, to hopefully plant a seed for them to take with them as they grow up and become adults and in charge of their own food choices. So we would love for you to visit our website or social media to learn more about us and to just continue kind of on this journey with us. For tonight's class, just a few things to go over with Zoom if you're not familiar with it. We ask that everyone mute their mic just because background noise makes it a little bit harder to hear. And then if you have questions, feel free to type them into the chat and then I can relay those questions to Justin. Or, I can answer them if you just send them to me individually, if it's something small and easy for me to answer. Or feel free to unmute yourself and just ask. It looks like we have a manageable size class this evening. Sometimes when it gets really big, then we just ask for everyone to write into the chat. But for tonight, if you want to unmute yourself and just ask the question, feel free to. It can be, oh, there's Gloria. Hi, Gloria. Nice to see you. And all of the classes are recorded. So if you'd like to go back and see one of our other classes that we've done or get the recipe, you can just go right on our website and it's all accessible there. We also have a guest chef cooking class series where we invite various chefs from Charleston to lead us into a plant-based recipe. So this Saturday we have date night. It is Louise Rakers of Nordic Cooking. She has been a dedicated volunteer with us for quite a while, and she has her own plant-based company. So you can look her up. And she will be leading us through plant-based burgers. So I know everyone loves those Beyond Meat burgers because they taste like real hamburgers, but they are pretty processed and not something maybe recommended to eat all the time. And so she will be leading us through a plant-based burger that we will recommend to eat all the time. And just a fun way to kind of make a really hearty burger, but without all the extra stuff. So check out the website for who we have coming up for our spring guest chef series, and we'd love to see you join us. And I think that's all I have. If you also, if this is the first class you've taken, if you change up in the top right corner, if you're on a laptop, if you change it to speaker view, that's what I recommend, just because then you can see Justin a little bit bigger and you can see what he's doing. He will probably give you some tips and tricks on chopping and things that you might want to see full screen. So if you change it to speaker view, that will probably help you out a little bit. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Justin and let him kick things off. You're on mute, Justin. Everyone mute besides Justin.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
All good? Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Justin, culinary director and chef at AMOR. And today we're going to be cooking a coconut cauliflower curry that's yellowed by turmeric powder. So this dish is a Indian-based style dish with a lot of Ayurvedic properties added into it. Ayurveda is like a natural medicine healing system through food. So we use a lot of the techniques from that in our cooking. So we'll take those small things that are very normal to Indian cooking and add them into everything that we do, such as even like our lasagna or spaghetti and things of that sort. That comes with like cooking a lot with a lot of seeds. You'll notice in the recipe there are quite a few seeds that we'll be tempering, which is not really that normal in our everyday cooking. But those are some key things that really help with digestion and kind of getting a nice balance in your gut and your stomach. Let's see, what else in this dish is kind of key things that we use in the kitchen are turmeric, ginger, seeds, and a lot of healthy fats. So coconut milk and cream is a really good fat, as well as olive oil, coconut oil. And then our protein in the dish is garbanzo bean, and then we're getting a lot of good like enzyme and plant protein and fiber from our cauliflower and our sweet potato. So we have like a lot of variety in this dish. It's really hearty, and the recipe does make 4 to 6 servings, so it'll be a pretty big dish. The way that we'll start is by making the rice first. And we'll start the rice off, we'll have it cooking, and then we'll get started on our coconut curry. So those two things together, the rice being your carb, high calorie, and then high fat and protein in our curry, those things together make a complete meal, which is kind of like what we focus on. And all of our recipes and meals that we make at AMOR is to have a entree and a side that has all your complete nutrients in it. So coming into this dish, kind of maybe when you get finished, you can think more about if you are cooking plant-based or just cooking for yourself at home, like, are you kind of ticking off all the markers for a complete meal? That being like good fats, good carbs, good calories, good protein, good micronutrients from all your herbs and seeds and grains. And just like think about how you maybe could take your own cooking to another level of nourishing your own body and your mind. So let's get started. The first thing I will do, like I was saying, we'll start cooking our rice. So I'm gonna start moving my camera around as we go. Okay, so let's talk about tempering seeds. So the first step in this dish with your rice is going to be tempering I believe in the rice I put fennel seeds. If that's correct? I know I put quite a few different seeds between the two, but we'll do fennel seeds in our rice. So if you've ever ate at an Indian restaurant or been recommended like a digestive tea, a lot of times it will be like fennel, parsley, coriander, cumin. Those things are all in jasmine rice will work fine. Those things are all in the parsley family, and they're very cooling ingredients, including like the green herbs that they come from. Even cumin, even though you might think cumin is like this like heavy spice, it is also a cooling ingredient for your body. So when you have all of this like digestive fire from your ginger in this big curry dish, you have these seeds that release their oils and kind of really help damper that down at the end to alleviate things like gas from eating so many beans or just uncomfortable feelings. So we'll get started with tempering. When you temper, you want to temper at a really low to medium heat. It takes 2 to 3 minutes. We're gonna temper today with our seeds in oil. Basically, that'll release the oil from the seeds. You'll be able to smell it. So that aroma is what we're looking for as a sign of, okay, it's ready. So let's get started. I'm gonna put this down. I got my pot right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat on to a low to medium heat. If you're working on an electric oven, I would go everything that I say a little bit higher. So if you're working on an electric cooktop, I would go like a medium heat, as it just takes longer and the heat isn't as constant. So I'm over gas right now. So at a low to medium heat. And then I'm going to throw my tablespoon of oil in. And my teaspoon of fennel seeds. And if you've never eaten a fennel seed, maybe just take one out and pop it in your mouth and just chew it up real good and kind of feel what that fennel tastes like compared to maybe eating raw fennel or having tea, as it is very different. Cooking with whole parts of the plant, you've got the fennel seed, the fennel bulb at the bottom, and the fennel stalks and the fennel frond. They all have different levels of that like kind of licoricey, anisey flavor. The fennel seed being, to me, one of the more mild. So just make sure you stir your fennel seeds into the oil so that they get in contact. Every single fennel seed gets in contact with the oil. And right off the bat, you just want to make sure that your fennel seeds are not sizzling, because we don't want to fry them. We just want to temper them in the oil so that my heat's a little bit high, so that they don't burn, because the oils that get released from the fennel seeds, the same way as normal oils that we put into our pan, we don't want them to reach smoke point. So do that. While that's getting ready and tempering, we'll get our cup of rice ready. So I'm just using a brown rice right here. We use brown rice in our kitchen, as brown rice is really hearty, takes a little bit longer to digest in terms of white rice to brown rice, has a little bit more nutrient content. But traditionally, this will be served with like a jasmine or a basmati rice. So I'm gonna not pour that in yet. Maybe put your face over your pan. If you can smell the fennel starting to like aromatize out of the seeds, then you're ready to go. I'm really close. I'm starting to smell mine just a little bit. So I just give them a little stir. You can also like sometimes look, if you start seeing some of your seeds start to get a little bit brown and you want to turn down your heat a little bit, or just go ahead and go for it with your rice. So this next step is throwing in our rice and basically toasting the rice. So toasting the rice helps the rice soak up that oil and fennel oil first. So the very first thing you're going to soak up, instead of just throwing it into some water, is going to be those oils. And also toasting the rice helps to give it just a slight nutty flavor, and will give it a little bit better texture once we do cook it through. Right, and while that's in there like that, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with my salt and pepper. I like to use fresh cracked pepper. Just a little bit more aromatic, a little bit fresher in flavor. Black pepper in this dish, also kind of something about black pepper, is that it acts as a carrier oil and a carrier for a lot of micronutrients, such as like curcumin that's in turmeric. So turmeric, its anti-inflammatory agent is going to be the curcumin oil, which is in the turmeric. Curcumin is with black peppercorn is able to be absorbed up to like 100 times more than if you don't have black pepper in your dish along with it. So if you're ever taking turmeric or curcumin, even like in a pill form, it's really, really nice to somehow eat that with a dish that has some black pepper or something like that, to really help your body absorb a whole lot more of it. So it'll increase those anti-inflammatory properties. So I'm looking pretty good on our rice. It smells really good. You'll be able to smell almost like a slight nuttiness coming out of it. Just like a little toasted cereal kind of quality. So I'm looking good. Everybody doing good? Okay. So next, I'm just going to go ahead and add in my broth. I just have some normal vegetable broth here. At the kitchen at AMOR, we always use a mineral broth that so it's basically a vegetable broth that's fortified with seaweed and dried mushrooms, as well as a ton of other seeds and greens and everything just so fresh. Very interesting tasting, like a broth like this versus one that we make fresh in the kitchen. I even add in things like lavender and chamomile, lot of like floral elements that you have in teas for just calming the mind, calming the body, relaxation. You know, if we're cooking for people that really want that type of feeling that we want to give to them, we're basically taking that broth and putting it in everything. So also controlling the sodium level. The vet broth you buy from the store is typically pretty high in sodium. So we're going to go ahead and pour that in. You're getting a pretty quick sizzle going on. Got your pan's already really nice and hot. You'll probably notice some of your fennel seeds float to the top. Just give it all a stir. I just did 2 cups of broth because I'm only cooking a cup of rice. Brown rice is 1 cup to 2 cups. If you're doing jasmine rice or basmati, a lot of times those will be more like 1 cup of rice to 1.5 times the rice. So you do 1 cup of rice to 1.5 cups of liquid. So just check your cooking package. I'm going to increase my heat here. We want to bring this to a boil or simmer. As soon as it hits the simmer, the second that it hits a full simmer, I'm going to turn it down to as low as I can so that it will slowly cook through in about 10 to 15 minutes. In that time, something that I always like to go over while we're doing our cooking class here with you is a
You're on mute.
There we go. Am I good now?
Yes.
Have I been on mute long?
Just
I
when
don't
you
know.
said something I'd like to go over.
Okay, cool.
You said my
Basically,
cooking
guys-
class with you. And
Yeah,
then
somebody
away.
muted me because I was going to say clean as you go, and they're like, well, I don't want to clean. But basically, yeah, cleaning as you go. So like, you know, I haven't really done that much in the kitchen yet, but in my cooking area, I have open broth, lid, fennel seeds here. This is my whole cooking area is already starting to get a little bit flustered, maybe if you would say. So I'm going to put the cap back on my rice. I'm going to put it up. I'm going to put my fennel seeds back on the shelf where they go. I'm going to put the cap on my vegetable broth just in case I might knock it over. I don't know.
Justin, Iris wants to know if she should cover the rice.
Yes. So as soon as it comes to a boil, so mine's boiling, I'm going to reduce my heat down to real low. There we go. Put a lid on it, and it'll be finished maybe in 10, 12, 15 minutes. It's rice is really interesting in that it really depends on what kind of rice you're using and also the quality of the rice. This rice I have right now is like a general kind of purpose brown rice. It typically takes me about 10 to 12 minutes. If I'm cooking white rice, sometimes it's more like 8 minutes. If I'm cooking wild rice, sometimes it'll be more like 15, 20 minutes. And kind of what you're looking at is a lot of times the nutrient content, its density, what the rice carries with it. So something that takes longer to cook usually has a little bit more. Cool. So we got our rice going. Everybody, including myself, mental note, don't forget the rice. Probably in about 6-7 minutes, I'll kind of take the lid off, give it a light stir just to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom. And also I might give the water just a little bit of a taste to see if it's tasting flavorful enough. If maybe I need to add some salt, maybe I need to add a little pepper. I think it's going to be good though. Tasting as you go is super important. So next we'll go over a little bit of the process of going through this curry. So the important thing to know is that we'll be cooking this by layers. We'll start with our oil. Then we'll add our seeds, which we'll temper. So that's our first layer of flavor. Next, after that, we'll go in with our aromatics. So that'll be our garlic, our onion, and our ginger and our turmeric. After that, we'll go in with our veggies so that we can start to saute them a little bit. We'll add a little bit of broth to steam, saute them. Next layer after that is going to be our broth and coconut milk. And then we'll kind of let that chill, reduce, and then it's going to be done. It's going to be awesome. But cooking in this layered style allows each individual component of the dish to be basically cooked through properly. Whereas if you could throw all of this at once into your pressure cooker and it would totally come out as like a pretty good curry recipe, but you're not going to have nearly as much of that developed flavor because each one needs its own time to cook through at different heat levels, different contact with the pan, as well as how much even like moisture is in the pan. So let's get started. The first thing we'll do is get all of our first and second layers ingredients chopped and ready to go so that when we go into cooking those, we'll have everything ready. Cool. Let's do it. Is that a good view? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I like to use a lot of little bowls. If you ever watch cooking shows, you're like, oh, wow, they look so organized and nice. It's just little bowls and stuff. You just put things in. So you should do it too. Get out some bowls if you don't have any. Be a pro. I've got my garlic right here. I've got my fresh ginger right here. I have some fresh turmeric, so I'm going to use some fresh turmeric as well as powdered turmeric in our dish. I've got my onion right here. I got my sweet potato right here and cauliflower. Traditionally, this dish would use a lot of times would use a white potato or a red potato. We use sweet potatoes in the majority of all of our potato-based dishes at AMOR because sweet potatoes are a lower glycemic index food. They're actually not a potato at all. They're in the morning glory family. If you didn't know that, that'll blow your mind. Not even a sweet potato, not even a potato. But they take a lot longer to process in your body, so you get a lot longer of energy output rather than like a quick burst of energy from the sugars that are in a white potato. So I've got anise seed. So anise is from the anise plant. If you tasted one of them, they're a little bit on that licoricey side, but this is just another part of the parsley family. And in here for that cooling. I've also had some Ajwan seeds, which are really, really cool. Black pepper, and then mustard seeds, which you might think mustard is also like spicy and whatnot. Mustard is also a cooling element, as it's also in a similar family. Mine is brand new today because I used all mine. I use seeds in all of my cooking. And also, if you've ever had a tea of any of these or a blend of tea would a lot of times be like fennel, anise, Ajwan, maybe parsley, coriander, something like that. You're moving into almost like a chai tea kind of situation, which are very calming, good for your stomach, delicious also. So first thing I'm going to do is measure out my seeds. So get your seeds all in one bowl. So I'm going to do my anise seed, my Ajwan.
Is this for the curry, Justin?
Yes, it is.
So we could use just regular curry.
Yeah, you can use regular curry powder too if you don't have these. Like, we'll still be using curry powder. This is just kind of something that you can add in extra. That just gives it a lot more depth of flavor, as well as those like healing components. But if you just have curry powder, you can totally use that too. And you would just skip this step, as we'll add the dried powders in later with the vegetables.
Okay, yes. I have other seeds. I can use those.
Yeah, what seeds do you have?
Oh, please, she's checking.
Nice. Maybe like coriander or
Yes.
yes.
You got coriander, she said.
Coriander's awesome. Coriander is cilantro, so that's also a really awesome cooling.
Celery.
And celery seeds good too.
And cumin.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just use those three in replacement of the ones that are in the recipe.
Awesome.
Those are just kind of the ones that I picked, but all three of those are, except, well, celery's not, but it's even more cooling. All three of those are still in the same plant family and are totally used interchangeably. Mustard too?
No, I have the ground mustard.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Justin, you use Ajwan seeds all the time. Where do you find them?
I get Ajwan seeds at the in either the Indian market in West Ashley or the one in North Charleston, which is at Bombay Bazaar.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the one in West Ashley, but it's really, they're both super awesome and have everything you could think of. The only thing is when you buy them, it's like a giant bag. This is it actually.
Wow. Okay.
But
that's why you always have them.
this is only $3.
Okay.
So it's funny because all the seeds there are bags like this for $3, but you know, I paid for this thing of fennel at the grocery store at Food Line. I just paid like $7. Crazy.
So go to the Indian store. Okay.
Justin, can you? I have an unidentified seed, and it's an Indian spice.
Can you hold or does it have any name on it?
It has no name that I can tell. It's the same brand you had. In the back. No.
What does it say underneath the price tag on the front, on the yellow?
You know what? It had an R and a D and some other letters that way and letters that way.
It kind of looks like cardamom.
Is it little tiny, can you, here, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, yes, little beads like.
Yeah, it looks like cardamom a little bit.
Okay.
So like usually cardamom you'll see it a lot in like pods, in the green pods.
Right, I have the cardamom pods, but
so if you crush a cardamom pod inside, it might be those, but maybe if you smell it, if it smells like cardamom,
it does.
But I also don't know.
That's okay. Well, it does solve the RD in the middle. So cardamom would be.
Yeah, that's what made me think of cardamom. I play a lot of Scrabble.
Me too.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody else got any seed questions or anything before we move on? Okay, let's go. So, got my seeds right here. Sorry, I had to turn my rice down a little bit.
Yeah.
Next, I'm gonna go ahead and chop up my onion and garlic. So I've got my onion here. I'm gonna get the camera a little closer so I can do a little demo on how we're gonna mince this or dice this onion. So I've already chopped mine in half, and you're gonna chop it in half from the root side to the top side. So like this. And then you can lay it down. The root side, which is this, you want to not cut that end off. We're just going to take our fingers, form like a claw, put them down like this so that they act as a guide like this for your knife. And then we're going to just slice through the end and cut that end off. Throw that to the side. It makes it a lot easier to take the peel off. I like to go ahead and just kind of take a whole layer of the top off just to make sure I get all of the peel out, which is better. And then also, just in case there's anything soaked into the skin, especially if it's not organic. So I've got this. So basically, with the root side out, you're going to take your knife, take the tip, and you're going to slice little cuts into it like this. Basically creating like a lined up grid all the way around. So in like a slow-mo, basically I'm taking the tip of the knife, let's see, right here, pushing the tip in. See, I've still got my knife up, and then slicing down. And then all the way to the end. So now we can just take this onion, which is already in layers, right? And we can just slice through like this. So this slicing motion, you can kind of see this. Instead of just pushing straight down like that, I'm going to start with the tip of my knife here, and I'm going to push it through like that. So that's letting the knife do the work for you versus trying to just push your knife through. And even if you have like a dull knife, you can still manage to really slice through things like this. And if you do this 10,000 times, then you'll start doing it way faster. Okay. So that's how much I'm going to use right there. Throw the end out. Get a bowl. Put it in your bowl. This is just another way of being organized, efficient, clean. You'll get done and be like, wow, I don't have to clean everything up. Another interesting thing about having everything ready like this is cooking everything evenly. So say maybe I'm in a rush, or just kind of how I cook normally at home, because I cook very fast. But as soon as I turn my pan on and I heat my oil up, I start chopping. I throw some stuff in. Keep chopping. I throw the rest in. I keep chopping. I throw the rest in. That stuff that I put in first is going to cook a lot faster than the stuff I put in last, because the first stuff soaked up all the heat, already started cooking. The stuff I threw in last is going in at a lower temp. So throwing everything in at once by having it prepared and ready with your mise en place, you're ensured to have like a nice, full, even cooking on what you're trying to cook. Okay, so next is garlic. So I've got the garlic here. So there's two ways you can get garlic skin off. One, the way that I like to do it most of the time is by smashing it. So you can take the tip of your knife like this, take the heel of your hand and crush it. So one of the things you'll notice is like immediately your garlic will have oils that come out when you smash it. That is garlic oil, but also it's starting to release and process inulin, which is really great for enzyme for your stomach. When you chop it, it just doesn't release quite as much because you're just breaking or slicing through where the cells that the inulin's in. By smashing it, you get more oil out, more smell, more inulin. It's just a little bit better way to go. And then you want to take and cut the tip of this off, that dry part, and we'll put that to the side. So the other way to get the skin off, if you're roasting whole garlic cloves, so you take the garlic, put your hands on each side like this, like one at one tip, the other tip, and really squeeze it and kind of like twist it a little bit like this. And then it should kind of come right off. This one's not doing so great. Yeah, it's pretty good. So now have a really clean whole garlic. But we're gonna chop this up and whatnot, and really want it to like cook down into the sauce. So the best way to go for this is to just smash it. And I'm just gonna quickly mince this up. So if you're chopping through something real small like this, it's the easiest to put the tip of your knife down and do this same rolling motion like this. If you notice, I'm not just going like up and down. I'm really going back and forth. So that's that same thought process of slicing through it, letting the knife do the work for you, versus just trying to use your own brute strength to just smash your knife through it. Knives have blades, they're meant to slice. Like this. So then I'll put my tip down and I'll just go back and forth with that same like slicing motion. Consolidate it all together. Do it one more time, and we're looking for it to be about like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just going to take and I'm going to put that right on top of my onions, because we're going to throw them in about the same time. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Got that going. So next is the ginger. I'm just going to use a cup for my ginger. I'm going to use a tablespoon, but so I like to use a lot. So I'm going to cut off a pretty big chunk for myself. The easiest way to cut the skin off of ginger, depending on how thick your skin is, for me, I just like to kind of use the tip of my knife and shave the skin off. If you have a peeler, you can use that as well, but I find that a peeler really takes too much off a lot of times. Or you can actually use the back side of your knife like this and really peel the skin off. This is a little bit tougher to do, especially with a small piece, but it is the most efficient in terms of not getting into the meat of the ginger and only getting the skin off. It's also a really awesome way to quickly get the skin off of carrots without taking a huge chunk out. Okay, so for ginger gets really stringy. So you want to take and try and like set it up straight up and down or sideways in either way, and try to cut along with the lines of the string. So whichever side you can kind of see the center of the ginger like this, or if you can see the strings hanging out, try to cut along the strings. So with mine, I'm going to put it down like this, put my claw grip down and chop through like this. And I'm actually going to use a little bit of a reverse slice like this. So I start with the back end of my knife, like here, up, and then pull through like that, so that we get these like thin pieces. I'm gonna do my whole piece like this. When you get to the end, you can just throw that on. So I'm gonna put everything back together like this, back like a normal piece of ginger. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So this is gonna give us little spears that look like this. And then you can line them all up across and use big long chopping motions like this. And I'm never letting the tip of my knife come off the table. That's like my control point. There we go. And that's like the perfect size already. So I'm just going to put that in this little cup glass that I have.
Justin, can you hold that up to the camera again, please?
Yes. So they're like little teeny cubes. Little baby cubes. Put those in a bowl. About like that. Take the time to always wipe your knife off. Clean your cutting board. Boom. Still clean. So I've got some fresh turmeric right here that I'm going to use in my dish. The recipe calls for dried powdered turmeric. I'm going to use that also. But for that so the dried spices we'll put onto the vegetables after they've been cooked for a little bit, so that those dry spices have something to grab onto and don't get fried in the oil. But if you're using any fresh turmeric, you want to cook it with your veggies so that it gets enough heat to actually process it. And just look how pretty that is. This is from Spade and Clover on John's Island. It's where my ginger is from too. You can catch John from there at the farmers market on Saturdays downtown, or on Sundays at the poorhouse. And he usually always has a good bit of fresh ginger and fresh turmeric and other cool root veggies, as well as tons of other pretty stuff too. But I love the way that fresh turmeric smells. It's like this incredible fresh smell.
Iris, you and Brian should grow turmeric.
Yeah,
Add
it
to your
grows just as easy as ginger.
Yeah, add to your ginger
Really?
garden.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Okay.
It looks a lot like ginger too when you grow it, just like big, long, green, leafy leaves.
Yes, see, the ginger has the flower and you can eat it.
Yeah. So cool.
It's so beautiful and it smells so good.
All right, so probably everybody should check their rice. I just realized mine's like all the way done. I need a little bit more time. Maybe just give it a little stir. Make sure your heat's low enough. Make sure it's not sticking to your pan.
Our rice smells amazing.
Yeah, the seeds really add a ton of like cool aromatics that cooking normal rice just like with water is so boring, right? Like, why does it always say just cook with water? It's like, what the heck? Rice is an amazing carrier of anything that you put into it, right? So starting out with something in your pan versus just throwing it in with water, all rice does is soak up whatever's around it. So you can put anything in rice. I've even, like, y'all had that sorrel tea last week, the hibiscus. I've cooked rice with hibiscus before, and it makes this like tangy, limey, lemony kind of tangy pink rice, and it's so cool.
Or with the flour.
The dried flour.
Really? I'm gonna try.
You had like the whole ones, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. If you put that in with your rice, like at the beginning, your rice will turn pink, which is so cool.
Right.
But it also will give it like a tangy kind of flavor. Right. Yeah.
And
Pretty cool.
it's high in antioxidants.
what would you serve? Yeah, it is. So you get that in the rice also. So
Right.
it's just
So
cool.
that's a good question. What would you serve hibiscus rice with?
Jamaican jerk.
I know that's right.
Yeah, see? Doesn't that sound cool?
Yes.
You get that
Yes.
like tangy,
Are you gonna teach
tangy
us how to
cooling
make them?
rice.
You gonna teach
Yeah,
us how to
maybe we'll do it
make
next.
tofu?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll
Jerk
do that next
tofu.
week. All right, our next cooking. Okay, that's awesome. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to make. Now I know what to make. We'll make hibiscus rice.
With jerk tofu. And
Yeah,
we need some vegetables in there.
yeah.
Now
Absolutely.
I make some awesome fried plantains because I learned in Haiti. So we
Oh
can do
wow! So you want to teach?
Sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna talk to Maria about it.
Yeah, you should. That would be so
I've
cool.
lived so many lives. I used to be, well, not used to be, but I'm a certified raw vegan preparer.
Oh
no
my
way.
gosh, Iris, you're on. And you
Dang.
have to join us. April 1st, we have Weeby Ashley. She is a raw foods. Yes. So you have to join us for that one too. And then we'll have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I got
We
introduced.
have to talk. We have to talk. And see, you
Yeah.
guys teach me things that fills in my gaps of things I learned.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
things that this is like on top of, because I cook a lot of amazing things.
I love it.
So cool. Dope. Hibiscus
Justin-
rice and Jamaican jerk coming up next next month.
Justin, I have a question about the adding stuff to the rice. If you were to cook garlic with the rice, would it be sauteed with the seeds first or just added in raw with the water?
I would add it with the rice. So like you do your seeds and then you add your rice. So I do it with the rice. If you throw it in with the seeds,
toasting. Okay.
yeah, if you throw it the seeds, it would probably burn because the seeds take longer to cook. But you could also just throw like a whole clove so that you can like roast that and do that. Yeah, throw a whole clove. If you're doing rice, throw a whole clove in because then it'll just like the oil will and everything will aromatize the rice versus actually biting into rice, which can be like a little spicy sometimes. So your rice is like that lighter thing.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? I think we're almost ready or about ready to start with our cooking. Let me make sure we get my train of thought. Yeah, I think we're ready. Because this first part is low and slow. That's pretty right. Curries are pretty like low and slow, just letting all the flavors develop as we go. Perfect on time. So we'll start out with the seeds tempering. So this is going to be exactly the same as we did when we did our rice. We're going to put our oil in. We'll put our seeds in. We'll do those at a low to medium heat. Once you start smelling those become aromatized, then we'll throw in our onion and garlic. We'll keep it on a low to medium heat to have that onion and garlic just like really get cooked together with the seeds. So you're kind of almost creating this like paste of a sort. It's called a slick. And then we're going to add in our ginger and our seasonings. And that will really kind of create this nice thick base that will then cook our vegetables in. So it's almost similar to like if you bought a can of curry paste or something like that. It's kind of like we're making that fresh versus taking it from a little jar. So let's get started.
Justin, did you chop the sweet potato? Or no?
I haven't yet.
Okay, gotcha.
So we'll do that while the onions and everything is kind of cooking down. So it'll be really important for everyone to just make sure your pan is on a low to medium heat when you start cooking the onions. Because if it's high, they'll get cooked too fast. It'll become time to throw your other stuff in and it'll be too soon. So cooking in this like layered style, you know, it's really just old school technique of a way to cook across any kind of culture is usually like you chop these things up, you throw them in, you do this, then you throw them in, you do this, and you throw them in. It's like this natural layer building process where a recipe makes itself time-wise, because after each step, you've got to do the next thing. So you're not really like waiting so much. And then when you're done, everything's done, which my rice is done. So I'm just going to turn it off, and you can just let it chill in the pan. Maybe if you're on electric, you should move it away from the eye that you're on, because that eye still has heat, and you'll have little crunchy, crusty rice at the bottom. Cool. So throw this up right here. All right. So I'm going to go on a low heat. I've got a pretty big pan here because this is going to carry all of my herbs, spices, cauliflower, sweet potato, garbanzo beans, coconut, milk. Everything's going to go in this pan. So it's going to be a decent size. So you can either use like a wide bottom saute pan like this, or a medium sized pot, but something to try and have a lot of surface area on the bottom so that we can have that nice slick going. So I cook on an induction burner. One, because I really like being able to control the temperature very specifically. So when I temper seeds, I temper them at 140 degrees, if you so wanted to know. So I throw my oil in. You can use coconut oil or olive oil or grapeseed. Coconut is the best for that rich coconut flavor. So get your oil in, take your seeds, got them all together, throw those in the pan. And same as before, we're just going to stir those together. Make sure you get every single seed in contact with the oil. And also you kind of want to spread this oil and seed mixture all around your pan. Don't let it sit in one spot. So you can kind of see that there. I've got a nice even covering base of oil and seeds going on. I'm going to let that chill for just a couple minutes. So while I do that, I'll start getting my sweet potato prepared. And super simple, I'm just going to wash my sweet potato. You probably already have. I'm going to do it just in case. And I'm going to take the skin off of my sweet potato. If you got a peeler, use a peeler. I just like using a knife. It's just fun. It's like really good practice for controlling how deep you cut. If you were to watch like what I'm doing, I'm using like the back of my knife. I'm doing these like long, smooth cuts so that I am not just pressing through. So this is like how you control it. And you notice like these cuts are really thin, just like a peeler would do.
Oh, Justin, I thought you said it was nice and thin, just like a killer. But I realized you said like a killer.
Oh yeah, like a killer. That's creepy. Cutting the skin real nice and thin. You're like, man, what is he talking about? This is supposed to be good and healthy and positive. So I would take my sweet potato. I want to cut it into cubes. So in this dish, and in any time you're cooking a dish like this, that's like something you eat with a spoon. I want to be able to get like a little bit of everything on my spoon every bite. So I got to think, I got cauliflower, I got sweet potato, I got garbanzo beans, I've got this base of other stuff in here as well. So I'm going to cut these into pretty small cubes. I'm going to do that by cutting my slices about this thin, my pinky for reference, a little bit smaller than my pinky. Maybe like a 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little less. So I'm doing the exact same thing that we did with our ginger, with our onion. I'm cutting a grid out of my sweet potato, put it back together about like that, and then go back through and do the same thing. So when I'm doing it this second time, when it's already layered up, to help keep it together, I'll get started, put my hand on the other side and chop down, and then cut through. So I'm going like this. And then I'll kind of keep that together like that. So same thing, I've got this like pile of matchsticks. Kind of see that size right there, like a French fry actually. So if you wanted to stop here and quit and just make French fries, you could just bake these or fry them. And you got sweet potato fries. Throw your curry seasoning on it, call them curry sweet potato fries. All right, all right. So I'm gonna put these in a bowl to the side.
You're muted, Justin.
I can smell my seeds starting to give off their aroma. So that means they're releasing their oils. So everybody check your seeds out. Maybe give them a stir. Mine aren't quite ready. I especially look for the smell of the mustard and the anise are two of the like telltale signs. But if you give them a little stir, they're probably getting real close. So next we'll do our bowl of chopped garlic and onion. So you're going to throw that into your pan, stir it up. Let's see, here we go. Camera change. So we'll throw that all into the pan. Give that a stir. And a mental thought you can have as you're like throwing in these ingredients into the pan is to try and get oil and seeds on every single piece of onion and garlic so that you have this like full even flavor throughout the whole dish.
Is the ginger going in or just garlic and onion?
Just garlic and onion. We're gonna throw our ginger in very soon, as in like 1 minute. But I really like to get the garlic and onion in there just for at least 1 minute ahead to let the onion start to saute a little bit. Let it kind of release its oil as well as soak up those flavors. So I'm just continuously stirring. And then I'm gonna kind of spread out. Do a little camera change. I'm gonna take and spread out my onion on the bottom of the pan. So I'm just creating this layer that I'm gonna let sit there for a second. And while I wait on that, I'm gonna get my cauliflower ready. So this is my cauliflower. I'm not gonna eat a whole head of cauliflower because it's just me. So I'm gonna cut this down to like 1/4 of a cauliflower. If you want to meal prep or something like that, you know, go ahead, use your whole cauliflower if you want, but more like 1/4 of this cauliflower to a half for 1 person, 2 person, even 4 people is plenty of cauliflower because there's so much other stuff in the dish. So I'm gonna cut a quarter of this cauliflower out. About like that. Pac-Man. Rip off your stem at the bottom and have your bowl ready. Cauliflower is prolific for just getting everywhere when you start chopping it. So the way that I like to chop cauliflower, instead of cutting out the base on your cutting board, is to actually hold the florets here on the outside and kind of, or actually, so sorry, how to describe this correctly. I've never talked about how I do this, but it's almost like giving it a haircut. But I'll hold it by, you know, the inside like this, and I'll just use the tip of my knife and I'll cut around like this. So that's what we're going to use, right? And then I can go back in and just kind of like cut the top of it off, which is what the best part is. Super bonus points to anybody that keeps all of the core and all of the stems. You can take that and then puree it with hot water in a food processor, or like puree it in a food processor and then cook it in a pan with spices and stuff and turn it into a soup super easy. So like a lot of people throw that out, but it's really delicious. Okay, so I got my cauliflower here. Since I cut it so small, I can actually kind of break it up with my hands. And then again, the size is kind of almost like the size of those sweet potatoes. So everything's about like this. A little bigger, a little smaller is fine too, but I'm going for that everything in one bite. Okay, so I got my cauliflower. Next, you're going to throw in your ginger and your turmeric to your pan. And your heat should still be on like a low, medium heat, to the point where you don't really have to worry at all about burning it. That's why we can step away, cook or chop our cauliflower and our potatoes. So throw the garlic and the turmeric in the ginger, or just ginger, in the pan now.
So we're throwing the turmeric in if it's the fresh turmeric.
No, well, we haven't measured it out yet. Or if you have it already measured out, but so my next step is going to be all of my dry spices. So my dry spices are going to be salt, cracked pepper, black pepper, and I'm putting these all into one little bowl to the side so I can properly measure them. And I'm eyeballing them, but they're all going to be 1 teaspoon except for the turmeric powder, which is 1 tablespoon. I've got some curry powder here. All right. And my turmeric powder. So like, even though I do have that raw turmeric that I've already put into my pan, I still want this to have the powdered turmeric also. I'm actually out of turmeric. For the bright yellow color. And then even in a processed sense, fresh turmeric versus raw turmeric do carry a little bit of different qualities sometimes. Because one has already been heated and dried into a powder, the other is still fresh and alive. Okay, so got my cauliflower, got my sweet potato right here. I'm gonna go ahead and put all my spices back up because I don't need them anymore. And I think that we're ready to put our dry spices into our pan. So the rest of this is a little quicker. This part was the slowest part, just like starting out your base. So first I'm gonna throw in my dry spices. And I'm gonna stir that in really well. You'll hear me say this a lot, but I'm trying to imagine that I want every single piece of veggie in this pan to get spice on it. So if you look down and you see one piece, that solid white onion, that means it doesn't have our powder on it, any of our seasonings. And now that I have that in there, I am going to increase my heat and get out some apple cider vinegar, because as soon as this starts to dry out and stick to the pan a little bit, I'm going to pour apple cider vinegar in to deglaze it. Got that there. Okay. Got my pan. I'm going to increase my heat to about medium high. We're not going full high, but we want it to be pretty hot so that this really starts to cook. I've got my apple cider vinegar here. Something you can do on the side while you're waiting on this for just a second is go ahead and crack open your coconut milk and your garbanzo beans. Your pan should be sizzling now as that heat really starts to saute all the veggies a little bit more. Right, give it a stir. You might start feeling it, how it starts to get a little bit sticky on the bottom of the pan now. That's good. That heat is starting to create sugars out of the carbs. Should smell like real spice, like spice rich flavored smell. All that garlic, ginger, the curry powder, all of that is in this right now is very rich and a lot in comparison to how much vegetables. So it's getting, the steam is releasing those smells. And all right, so I'm starting to get a pretty solid little stickiness on the bottom of my pan. Let it sit for just a second. And I'm going to do a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Make sure your pan's nice and hot. You're starting to get that browning on the bottom. Your veggies should already be browning a little bit. And I'm going to go for it. So as soon as that happens, you want to stir it around and scrape the bottom of the pan. So that vinegar is going to make all of that nice caramelized sugars on the bottom of the pan release. Don't put your face over it because it's just burn your eyes like vinegar does. I just made that mistake. Next, we're going to add our sweet potatoes. about like that. And then our cauliflower, throw it in. Let's give that a good stir. So I'm actually, my pan is starting to stick again already. So if you start that, your dish starts to get a little dry and they're already sticking to the bottom again, take just a little bit of your vegetable broth and pour it in so that it doesn't stick. And also your sweet potatoes and your cauliflower need a little bit of moisture to start this this sauteing and cooking down of them. All right, so an indicator for me when I do this is that all of my cauliflower turns yellow. Once all of my cauliflower is yellow, then I'm going to go ahead and move into my next step, which is adding our garbanzo beans. Give that a stir.
Justin, what temperature are you cooking at?
I'm at a medium high right now.
All right, thank you.
You should be getting like a pretty solid sizzle saute kind of situation. Like you can hear everything cooking about that high. To use hearing as a form of temperature control. Okay, got my garbanzo beans. So next, I'm going to do my coconut milk. Mine is like completely thickened at the top, which is probably a lot of people's. The coconut fat will separate and will be on the top of the can with the coconut liquid being at the bottom. So I'm going to use half of this can. A full can is 1.5 cups, which is what the recipe calls for. But I'm doing a slightly smaller recipe myself. So I'm going to scoop half of that out, and then I'm going to pour my liquid in and save the rest for my oatmeal in the morning, actually. Oh, yeah. Now make sure you stir that in really good. That coconut sweet fatty smell starts coming through. Everything's yellow. Just continuously stirring this, getting that coconut milk really mixed in really well. It should be pretty much like boiling, bubbling because of the level of heat that you're at. Okay, and next, we're gonna do our 1.5 cups of broth. So just go ahead and pour that into your pan. And it should look almost soupy-like. So that's what our potatoes and our cauliflower, that's where they're really gonna do their cooking. It's almost like steaming them. But what we did there, same as the rice, same as anything else that we cook in our spices and flavors, the first thing that our sweet potatoes and our cauliflower are cooked in and soaked up flavors of was everything that we're cooking the dish. So like, say you miss a step, you threw in your liquid, you could just throw your potatoes and cauliflower in, but they will not have nearly as much flavor as if you do this process of cooking them in a flavor. Okay, so I'm gonna increase my heat to high. Actually, sorry, not a lid. Leave the top off because we want this to reduce and thicken. Mine's a little thin, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the rest of my coconut fat. Still gonna save some liquid for oatmeal because I really love putting that in my oatmeal. If you eat oatmeal in the morning all the time like I do, or ever, it's really easy to just put a bunch of sweet stuff in your oatmeal and seeds and nuts and stuff like that. But I mean, nuts do carry a really good fat content, but adding in coconut fat in the form of like coconut cream like this is a really easy way to introduce just a little bit of quick fat to your stomach in the morning to start the day out, get your gut going. Okay, so I got my heat on high. I've got everything in my pan. I'm just gonna let this chill for probably about 15 minutes. And once it starts to boil, I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit to the point where it's not rolling in a boil, but it's at a high simmer.
We've added everything besides the spinach? Or
Yeah, spinach goes in last.
Okay.
So if you throw in spinach now, it's really just going to cook down into nothing, like you're cooking down collards into like a stew or something like that. So we'll throw the spinach in like very, very, very last. Because I really like for my spinach when I saute it or cook it into things like this dish to still have a little bit of texture, not just be like a slimy piece. So if you throw it in literally like 20 seconds before you're going to take it out of the pan, the spinach will cook just a little bit, but it'll still have a little bit of texture and keep its freshness somewhat. And when you throw the spinach in, it will be 5 colors, which is a rule for our cooking. For when I cook, every dish is 5 colors and 5 flavors. Cool. Thanks for joining, Rob. See y'all later. Okay. Nice. Right on time. So what time is this? This is cleanup time. So you can, while you're waiting on these things to finish cooking, perfect time to get some plates out for when you're ready to put your food on the plate. Good time to clean up so that when you finish eating, you don't have to clean anything, because that's always the worst, is having to do your dishes when you're finished eating. Because when you finish eating, you should have hot tea. You should sit down and relax, go for a walk, chill, have some time for yourself or whoever you ate dinner with. Take your dog for a walk. That's what I'm going to do. How's everybody doing? Good? Thumbs up across the board? Cool. Awesome.
Justin,
Yes.
if like for subbing different vegetables, like I have Brussels sprouts and broccoli. So if they're this similar texture, then that you just sub it with like the timing that the cauliflower went in.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, if you're doing broccoli and Brussels, is that what we said?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, do the exact same. I would like chop the Brussels in half or quarters. If you did whole Brussels, it might take a lot longer. But chop your Brussels in half or quarters, or even shave them. If you shave them, they'll cook really fast. I actually have these like veggie hot dog things. What are they? You get them at Food Line. They're like veggie tofu
They're field roast.
sausage kind of things.
They're
But I
field roast.
love adding them into like everything of this style to just add this like extra yum flavor. So I'm gonna chop this up and throw it in mine. And
Yeah,
then-
Iris, the field roast are good, aren't they?
Field roast. No, I don't think
They're
those are
not good
field-
in my pocket, but that's what I have to eat.
And then I'm gonna use Swiss chard for my greens. I just have.
So do I put the spinach in now?
You should wait.
Oh wait.
Yeah, wait till your water reduces
Okay.
down. If you throw it in now, it'll pretty much like stew your spinach into like mush. If you like
Right.
you make collard stew or spinach,
Right.
it just
That's what we
cooks
got.
in.
Okay.
That much spinach will turn into like this much spinach.
Right.
So if you wait right till the end, like right before you're gonna serve it, put it in,
Okay.
stir it, and then put it on the plate. It'll still get like a little bit of texture and won't be so like
Okay.
small and slimy.
Yes, I get it. I just didn't want to. I wanted to make sure we didn't miss that part.
Absolutely. So I've just looked at mine. I probably got like 4 or 5 more minutes. So it reduces down just a little bit more. The liquid, you're looking for it to be thin, but almost like a creamy soup texture. So we're gonna serve this like over top of our rice. So that sauce is just gonna like go into our rice, be on the plate. The spinach and greens are also gonna soak up some of the sauce. So if you cook it down and it's real dry, or if yours is getting too dry, you can add a little bit of liquid, add a little bit of extra broth or something like that. Anybody cook anything really cool this past week?
Repeat that.
Has anybody cooked anything really good this week?
I cooked my family recipe of some squash, but nothing like spectacular this week. No, we no, we rely on AMOR, and so that help us create our meals.
Oh, that's awesome. What was your favorite
It's such
thing?
a blessing. Y'all don't
this-
even understand.
What was your
Y'all don't even
favorite
understand.
this past week?
Oh, this
What was your
the
favorite
sweet
one this
potatoes,
past
the
week?
yams, the purple yams.
Yeah. Are those good? Those are so pretty,
Yeah, the
right?
yams. Yes, they were so beautiful. And then they were a little crispy. They were a little crispy,
Uh-huh.
a little crunchy.
Nice.
Yes, that was my favorite.
Oh,
By the way,
That-
my favorite so far is the pesto pasta. That was
pesto
amazing.
pasta.
Yeah,
Cool.
that was my favorite thus far out of everything we've had.
Nice. Joanne and Allison said they had crab cakes. What did that say?
Crab cakes out of crab cake? I want that.
Canned artichoke and garbanzo. Oh, cool.
We
That
had
sounds awesome.
shrimp pizza, but an unfortunate thing happened. When I was getting ready to put my crust on my pizza stone, I forgot. I broke my pizza stone last time. So I had
So
to
you just didn't
scramble
have one.
and remember, holy moly, how do I make pizza without a pizza stone? Had the grill going, but fortunately I had one of those perforated pans. But it was a little burnt. Craig ate the burnt parts. I scraped off it like burnt toast.
You just make him
Otherwise-
eat all the burnt stuff.
He just kept going, give me those pieces, give me those, because
Ah, so it was good.
it was good. It was good. The topping was delicious.
Uh-huh.
And so was
Cool.
the crust, but
Awesome.
no.
Joanne and Allison, I'm so curious about the crab cakes. Tell us about that.
Hold on. Well, I've been wanting to try this recipe for so long, and then finally got my hands on some canned artichokes. You kind of use a food processor to make, to put like the garbanzo beans, the artichokes, some like onions or shallots and different spices in, and Old Bay seasoning, and kind of make it up into what you can form into a patty and fry them up, or you can bake them too. They were so good.
Yum.
It was a gamble and then very successful.
Oh, those are the best.
Yes.
Sounds like a pretty easy recipe too.
Yeah. Well, I'll see if we have your email. I'll send I got it off a blog and I can share what I worked.
Yeah, I'll send it out to everyone.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, so mine's getting really close. Before it gets all the way done, we want to taste it, see what the flavor of it's like. We're looking to see if it has like enough salt. You've got a nice like fatty kind of rich mouthfeel. And then also if the curry spice is enough, because we can add a little bit more curry spice if you don't think it's enough for yourself. Also, you want to kind of think about like the acidity. If it's too fatty, we can add it. You can add a little bit of acid in the form of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice to kind of cut that a little bit and balance it. So at the end of the dish, tasting is your final moment of getting to decide for yourself how to flavor it. A lot of times following recipes, you'll make it to the T, make it perfect, exactly what it says. You sit down at the table and you're like, man, this is not having enough salt. This recipe is messed up. But the thing is that it's up to you when you get finished with the recipe to be able to actively taste it and put it to your own palate, because everybody's palate's not the same. So like in the kitchen with the teams, everybody tastes. We always err on the really light salt side. So if everyone says it's okay, if everyone's like, it maybe need a little bit of salt, but we think it's good, we'll leave it. If more than half say it does need some salt, we'll add salt. If more than half say it needs less salt, then we'll add more liquid to try and thin that salt out. Or if something's too spicy or needs more spice. So tasting across the board with more people will help create like a median recipe, which is what a lot of recipes are. But if you like a lot of salt in your food, then you're probably going to need some salt. If you like a lot of spice, you're probably going to add a little bit more of that curry powder. Or if you want actual like capsicum spice, throw in some red chili flake. Up to you. So I'm going to taste mine.
Justin, I didn't measure the apple cider vinegar and I think I went a little heavy handed. So should I add more coconut milk?
Yes, add some more fat.
Okay.
Also, the vinegar will cook out a little bit, but to do it a little quicker, add a little bit more of that fat. If you added like you said you were going to do half the can,
Yeah.
probably add like a quarter more, or you could just add the whole thing, you know, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So mine, I think needs a little bit more salt. I really like the amount of curry flavor that I have. My vinegar isn't like coming through, but it's still like the acidity is, so acidity is what makes you salivate when you eat food, or if you're tasting wine. That's where I know it from, is tasting wine. You measure acidity high or low based on how quickly you salivate. So my acidity is like really good, I think, because it makes me salivate, but it's not like clenching my mouth. So I'm just gonna add probably like a quarter teaspoon of salt. And I want mine to have just a little bit more kick on the spice. So I'm going to put a pinch of red chili flake in it. All right. Mine's done. Everybody else think theirs is ready? Good. So you can kind of see mine if you're wondering what mine looks like. When I go like this, it's just thick enough to where you can see the bottom of the pan a little bit when I pull it through, but it's still thin enough to where it's got like a somewhat soupy, watery consistency. But I think I'm good. Mine was looking really nice. So I'm gonna turn the heat off. I'm gonna have my rice ready right here. So we're getting ready to plate our food. So everybody should have your plates out, ready to go.
Finish?
Yeah, that'll be your very last thing. So have your spinach ready to the side. Get your
The spinach right now.
Not yet, almost. So get your plate out, have it ready. So the spinach literally cooks in the pan for like 15 seconds. So you got your plates out. So I got my plate. I've got my spinach, which is actually charred for me. I'm using red chard. I've got my curry right here, and then I have my rice. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour in my greens like that. I'm just going to stir them into them, and that residual heat is going to cook my greens that's left over in the pan. And you can see how pretty that is. This red chard is really gorgeous. Okay, just make sure you stir that spinach or chard in really well. If your spinach is really big leaves, I would rip it up. Like I cut my chard because chard is really big, but if you have more like a small baby spinach, you could just throw it in whole. So now I'm going to plate my food. So I've got my plate here. Everybody can see that. I'm gonna get some rice out right here. I'm gonna put it right in the middle of my plate. Kind of make like a little donut almost, if you would. So that our curry sauce can sit in there like that. I'm gonna take my curry right here and spoon it into the middle. And then if you didn't use something to get more sauce, get a spoon that you can pour sauce on your plate. So I'm pouring that sauce over my rice. About like that. Take a rag, put your finger on a rag like this. Put your hand on the plate and then spin the plate like this while you're pressing your finger down. And that's how you make that perfect circle, pretty plated food. Like that. Your sauce should be kind of coming out. You can give your plate a shake, but that's what you're looking for. And that's our rice and curry. Anybody got their plate finished? Can show? If you do, say, here's my plate, so that you pop up on everyone's screen.
I've got my bowl. Let me see if I can do whatever I need to do. How do you turn it around? I can't figure out how to turn it around.
Just take that one and point it down at your bowl.
Can you see it?
Yes. Beautiful. Awesome.
It's beautiful, Kathleen.
Good job.
Oh, Melissa, that looks great.
Nice.
Anybody else still working on it?
Still working. We're not eating yet here, so that's why mine's still on the stove.
Gotcha.
But I've taken plenty of tasters from the pot.
How is it?
It's
Tastes good?
delicious.
Cool. Any other finishers still working? Let's see those plates.
Oh, okay, Gloria. All good? Yes. Enjoy. Bon appetit. Buen provecho.
Buon provecho.
It was excellent.
Oh, good. Enjoy.
Awesome.
Yes, Kathleen, send us a pic of that.
Yeah, last time I took such a bad picture. I was like, this is not going to be advertisement. I will. All right. Good night.
Okay,
Good night, Kathleen. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Great job, Justin.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Justin.
Thank y'all for being here. Hope you
Yes,
enjoy.
It was
we hope to
great.
see you. Oh, there's Iris and Brian's.
Uh-huh.
Yum.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So cool.
Thank you
Joanne,
so
it
much.
turned out
Thank you, Lauren.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
awesome. Okay, we
Good
hope to
night.
see you all soon. Thank you so much. Register for our next one. It's every third Monday of the month.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This makes everything amazing.
I know.
Enjoy,
Nice to
everyone.
meet you guys.
Have a
Bye.
great night.
Nice to meet you as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.